What's up, everybody? Today's topic is going to be about starting out as a lube tech. I'm finna hop straight into it, man. You know I got to have my kickstarts. All right, so all the job requirements of a lube tech is visually inspecting the vehicle. As soon as it come in, you visually give an outside inspection. And once the hood is up, you inspect under the engine bay, over the engine bay, and make sure there's no damaged components, any leaks or anything like that that could cause harm to any of the vehicle components or the customer itself. You check all the fluid levels. You make sure there's no signs of contamination within the brake fluid reservoir, the coolant reservoir, the transmission, and the washer fluid level. No, it's pretty much all the levels, I believe. Sorry about that. But yeah, you make sure they're the recommended level and make sure that there are not any contaminations in it, and see if it needs any service, because you can figure out if it needs service based off the mileage of the vehicle. So, and if that car comes to your shop particularly all the time for service, then you can always check the history or whatnot and see if it requires service at this time or at that time. Next, you check the engine and cabin air filter. The engine air filter, you also inspect that. Make sure there's no dirt or like a lot of dirt and debris, because that'll be an indication that you need to go ahead and change it. Make sure it's not breaking, and depending on the filter that you have, like whether it's the cloth ones or the little, it's kind of like a little paper type deal. You can like kind of fold them and make sure they're not breaking or anything or real brittle or whatnot. And that'll kind of help you indicate if the air filter needs to be changed. Because sometimes that because it's clean doesn't mean that it's probably, that because it's clean doesn't mean it's still good. Because if it's breaking, that means it can break off and get into the engine and all the debris and stuff and damage the internal components. With the cabin filter, you do exactly the same. And the intervals for these things are anywhere between 12 to about 30,000 miles. And the reason why I kind of went so high with that is because some of the vehicles that I've checked before, usually they can have 30,000 miles and the filters still be like brand new, which is kind of weird. I guess it depends on where you're driving. But anywhere between 12 to 30,000 miles. But that's the whole point of checking it, so you can figure out if it needs to be replaced or not. While inside of the vehicle, you check all of the lightings and make sure all the check engine light, of course, because sometimes people get oil change, their engine light come on right away. So it's always good to look at your dash cluster and make sure everything is good, no lights. And if it is, you notate it. Make sure the seat belts and stuff like that are good. Make sure they're not locking or anything. Or you look at the windshield, you check the windshield condition, you check the wiper blade condition. You check the brake pedals, make sure they're good, because if it's like, if they're feeling real spongy and stuff like that, you know, that's, the customer may be aware of that, but you may want to notate that as well, because like I say, when customers bring their car in, sometimes they don't know, and then the service is done and they feel like, well, it wasn't like this when I brought it in. So it's always good to give like a detailed inspection on the safety side of everything. So with the car in the air, of course, you change the oil and the filter. And then while the car's in the air, you look under the engine bay, you look at the exhaust, you make sure there's no leaks, no damages to any of the components, and see if it needs any necessary repairs. You check the tires, you check the condition of the tires, make sure the tread depth is high, and anything below 430 seconds, it's time to replace the tire. You add air to the tires, you set the tire pressure wherever it needs to be set to. You check make sure there's no nails or anything like that, and see if the tire needs to be repaired. You mount and balance tires. You rotate tires. You check tire sensors. You replace tire sensors. And with the tires off, you check the brakes. You inspect the brakes inside and out, and make sure that they're at a sufficient level of padding. Let's see where we at. That's pretty much everything. Of course, you do have to add the oil once you change it. So, you know, because, hey, and it's crazy, man. I've seen that before. When I was, I've seen this before at the shop, man. Sorry about that, guys. A guy, it was a brand new Traverse, man. It was at the time, it was a 2018 or 19. At the time, though, because this is like 2020 right now. So, they got the oil change. They did the full service and started the car. And good thing about these new cars, they give you an indication that the oil thing is low. But this engine was out of there, though. It was too late. The person did get fired, but they got that was an expensive fix, because the car only had 900 miles on it. And But they got the car on the ground and started this thing up. It did not add the oil, man. That engine was gone, and it only had 900 miles on it. And that was a very expensive repair for a $40,000 car. So it's always necessary. And you know, when I'm actually doing the oil changes and stuff like that, man, you know, aside of like the other services and stuff that I do, because I'll clean the whole ticket. You know, I do my oil changes, do transmission, do all the transmission work, the engine work. If I got an oil change on there, I'm going to do it. So it's always good if you got such a big list to write everything down that you've done. So let's say you added the air, you torqued the lug nuts to specs, you check the brakes, just make a checklist. That way you will know that you did it. And usually what I do, once I actually add the oil to the car, I start it up right away. That way I know that the oil is in the vehicle. So that's always a good tip to, you know, make sure you write everything down and literally go step by step on everything that you need to do. That way it can help you get the vehicle in and out accurately and safely. Because, I mean, I've seen it all, man. I've seen people rotate tires and forget to put on, like, not forget to put the lug nuts on, they forget to tighten them. And customers will fall off, or they drive off and it's wobbling. So it's like a real, and it is crazy that some of these people don't even catch that once they actually do the service. I mean, me personally, man, I get them lug nuts on and then I go back and tighten them to like 120 foot-pounds, depending on the vehicle. Trucks are usually 120, cars are like 100, you know. But me personally, I torque all of them to 120. So, you know, it's always good to have that list. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Yes, batteries. You also check the batteries as well. Sometimes customers have a concern that their car had to be jumped off. So it's our job to get the battery tested, to look at it and make sure that the temperature is good on the battery. Because sometimes for the cranking amps, the temperature could be not right for that battery. So let's say it's at 99 degrees, the battery is at 525 cranking amps or whatnot, and it measured 319 at 99, you know, that's very low cranking amps for a battery that high. But it'll fail it, it'll tell you it needs to be charged or it's a bad cell and stuff like that. So we check the batteries and stuff like that as well and replace if necessary. So that's pretty much all the job requirements as a lube tech. I hope this helped. So if you're starting out in this industry, most of the time it's going to be a lube tech. So those are the job requirements. And if you got any questions or concerns about it, guys, man, just leave it in the comments below and I'll definitely get back to you guys. And anything aside of, you know, this video, as far as in what to do if your car don't start and stuff like that, or what can I do to keep my car maintained better, anything, just give me a holler and I'll get back to you guys. So everybody stay safe and let's keep these cars rolling, man. Peace.